Hey, this is Malcolm with English with Malcolm, but in a second you'll see this is more so Chinese with Malcolm. Tonight I'm going to break down some very common Chinese characters, 5 of them, and show you exactly how to read them, exactly what they're writing, because Chinese is not and never has been a bunch of random scribbles. They're always writing out certain elements of the nature around us, that being the higher level and the lower level. And honestly, life here on Earth, that's exactly what's happening. The higher level and the lower level coming together to create us, human beings walking around, manipulating our energy and our mind, body, and spirit to create everything that we have around us. This is definitely no mistake. And I really, really love how Chinese writes this. One day I might learn how to, decipher hieroglyphics with the Egyptians were writing, because I think that's also just the same thing. We're all talking about the same things in different languages. It just really depends on how you break it down, or how they decided to break it down in their language that we all share together. One of the main things I need to tell you about, a sort of primer for this information that I'm about to give you, is you really do have to put your mind in the space of understanding the yin and yang principles, that being light and dark, and also the masculine and the feminine principles. Because really, when you break it down, that's all that's really happening here in life. Everything is not necessarily a battle for dominance in terms of light versus dark, but they do have to clash in order to create what we do here. Scientifically, if you think of matter, you have dark matter, and then you have just general matter. They might call it light matter. I'm not sure. But you have to have dark matter. You have to have these black holes sucking in all these energy and destroying things at the same time as things are being created. And they say that energy is never really destroyed anyway. And I really do believe that energy is something that is recycled. But that can be a talk for a different day. But this is how I have always looked at Chinese characters. Maybe not always. I would say maybe my 5th year of studying, that's when I wanted to break down the characters. But definitely keep your mind on these aspects. And these aspects are talked about in various religions, various studies like yoga and etc., things like that, that focus more on the spirit rather than just the physical world. Alrighty, I will see you at my desk over there. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is write the traditional character first and the simplified character, and we're going to break down the meanings of each. And when I say the meanings, I mean the different radicals, the different shapes, the different elements that create a character. Because characters are not just random scribblings. They never are. They're always composed of different elements that come together, create an entire picture to hold a meaning to it. So we're going to do 5 characters. First will be xue, to study or just knowledge. Second, hao, numbers. Third, Dien, which is a point in time or space. Fourth, ai. And lastly, qian, which is money. So let's go ahead and begin with xue. And this is the traditional set for xue. I remember I was in high school, I think it was 2012, and we had a guest teacher from the University of Maryland. This right here is kind of a mistake, by the way. We had a guest teacher from the University of Maryland, and she had us doing some calligraphy, and she was looking at all of us, writing and telling us our styles. I was told I have leaf style, and I was joking, oh, that must mean ugly style. But really, she was just saying just very loose, like think of the wind. When the wind blows, it blows the leaves and everything just seems to just tumble and flow effortlessly. So I guess it's more so loose, not so ugly, but to me it looks kind of bad, but whatever, no big deal. That's the traditional set, and we'll look at the simplified set. Needless to say, it is a lot simpler than what we have over here on the left, but let's begin. So as you notice, I drew this part first, then we have the outer element, then we have the roof radical, and you have the final element. So this here is very interesting to me. I remember I first looked up what this is many years ago. This here is like spirit, divination and spirit. And I truly do believe a lot of the knowledge that we have just naturally comes from our spirit. We don't really know why we're here, but our bodies and our minds definitely somewhat automatically do what we came here to do anyway on Earth. And this here on the outside is the skull. So you can think of the knowledge here being within the skull, being within some sort of receptacle, even if it's not a skull. This can just mean a skeletal structure. You have a roof radical. So this is above an offspring, a child. This is also interpreted as a fruit or seed of something. And on the left, this divination radical was highly simplified to just be these 3 strokes here, these 3 dots, 3 dashes. Roof radical again, and again with the z, z, or z. Next, let's talk about how. This was one of my favorite characters to write when I was first learning how to write the traditional set for characters. Just because when it comes to the simplified set, this is it. But traditional, they have the tiger. His whole right side is the tiger. And like I said, this is it for the simplified. They just got rid of the tiger. Just got rid of it. So let's break this down. This is ko zapang. This is the ko radical, ko, meaning mouth or entrance. So again, keeping our minds on this light and dark principle and the free flow of energy that we all live in, that we have to take advantage of to do anything. This is more so an entrance. And this bottom part was very interesting. I just looked this up tonight, and it kind of blew my mind, because this, let me bring it up exactly. It says the obstruction of breath, or chi, meaning energy or breath, as it seeks release. And I thought this was interesting, because this is one entire element here on the left, right? This is literally talking about the flow of energy. You have the free flow, the opening entrance, and you have the obstruction of that. The obstruction of it, like you have the free flow and it comes down and becomes obstructed, and it might make a cycle. Water and pipes have to have some sort of pressure, have to have some sort of obstruction there in order to keep it from just flowing. Otherwise our houses would flood. Otherwise, as soon as we turn the knob, you know, way too much water and you can't close it. You have to have these two opposites interacting with each other in order to have one thing. And on the right here we have the tiger. Breaking this down, this is a 7. This is 7 chi, and this here, they wrote it differently. I guess just for the sake of, I'm really not sure. I'm not sure why they decided to add this line here, but this is really just which literally just means son, or again just child. And this top part here truly looks like this when it's not a radical or a part of a character. This says fortune telling or prophecy. And again, this entire thing just means tiger, hu or hu. And the tiger is very, very admired in Chinese culture. The year of the tiger is always highly celebrated. I would say it's almost right below the year of the dragon. The dragon is one of the most powerful in Chinese traditional culture. But the tiger as well is very divine. They praise it just like the Indians do with cows. It's a very, very loved animal in their culture. All right. So hopefully I'm opening your mind up a bit to exactly what the Chinese are writing when they write these characters. I think it's very interesting because it leads your mind to different places. So next we're going to look at Dien. So here is the traditional set. Actually, let's start this over. All right, next we're going to look at Dien, meaning a point in time or space. So we're going to start with the traditional set, as always, here on the left. This one here is always kind of awkward for me to write because you have to draw this downward line first. I always thought that was weird. Dien. And this is a simplified version. They kept that right side and added this fire radical underneath it. So bottom here is fire. So here on the left, now this is quite literally what I'm pointing to when it comes to talking about the masculine versus feminine and the light versus dark, or the yin versus yang, or the yin and yang. It's not really a versus thing. I would say in life is a push and pull, but that's how it's supposed to be. It's really how it's supposed to be. One is not supposed to overtake the other, or else it'll be chaos. Life is chaos anyway, right? But here, literally, seen as black or evil, even just darkness. And this left side, literally divine. Let me check this out one more time. Yep, this right sign literally just means divine or to observe, and even says versify. Not really exactly sure what that means. But this is quite literally it. So when we're talking about a point in time or a point in space, we're talking about places, putting things on a map, pointing things. When energy comes together, you have to have light and you have to have dark to come together to even create an object. And this is quite literally talking about that. And I think that's beautiful. Beautiful. It kind of blows my mind. I love it. I love looking at it because I think this nails it for exactly what life is. And here we have the divine aspect here. Kind of looks like a post, right? If you want to just look at it just as a pictogram, sort of like you can say there's like this the ground. This is something, you know, coming out of it. This bottom here again is the fire radical. I'm not really sure what they're getting at with the fire radical below here, but it's beautiful nonetheless. Next, we are going to look at, which one is it? I love. I think we all need love, right? Love helps the world go around. So here is the traditional set on the left. This used to be one of my favorite characters to write when I was first learning because, okay. No, it's just fun to write. Some characters to me are just fun, interesting to write. So that's the traditional set, and here is the simplified set on the right. So very similar. I was missing that stroke here. So very similar, but the one on the right gets rid of this aspect here. The heart radical. This is the heart. Shin. This is the heart. This is literally the heart. Now this above, this radical up here above means claw. And after doing some thinking about it, because at first I was like, claw, like what is this supposed to mean? I just kept thinking about animals, honestly, claws and talons. I got a lot of nails or longer nails in my right hand because for the acoustic guitar especially, and the electric, I like to do finger style. Kind of gets in the way with bass, but whatever, I make it work. But I like to think of this as more of pointing down to our animal natures, because how can I put this? Going back to the first character we talked about being Shui, we have, where is it? We can look at the above and below. So above is all this spirit being held within a receptacle, let's say skeletal structure again, being held within a receptacle. And it breaks down through this roof of whatever this may be, the roof, something that's blocking us from the higher divine spirit, down to us being a person or a spirit, or a human, an offspring or a child as they put it. All right, I was editing the video and I realized what I really want to say, especially after putting a little more thought into it. So about the claws and about the whole animal nature thing, above and below, I didn't really break that down as much as I wanted to, but I'll break it down now. So in terms of angels and demons, angels, whenever we see them in art, they're always surrounded by a bunch of white light. Usually they're wearing really clean white clothing. Looks like they don't do anything down here on earth, right? They don't mess with any kind of dirt. They just snap their fingers and whatever they want comes to them, right? Now with lower animal natures, where we are in the world, we're not dealing with angels. We're not dealing with snapping our fingers and suddenly whatever I want is right here in front of me, at least not physically. We are dealing with trotting in the world and using our claws, using our hands and our feet to get what we want. Quite literally, demons are portrayed as a lot messier than angels. Demons have horns in their head, horns coming out their heads in order to portray this, that they are they are more physical. They don't really tend to have wings. They tend to have bigger muscles and claws, like I'm saying, and maybe hooves because of like maybe they're like a centaur or a minotaur or something like that, you know? Demons have to get what they want by manipulating the world around them. They have to be lower level. And I'm not talking about better or worse. I just mean they're here, down here in the world. They have to scratch and claw, and they have to eat. They have to, you know, they have to pee and do all that stuff. Angels, I don't think we're ever gonna see an angel do that. They just do whatever they're higher up. So in correlation with emotions, that's definitely a lower animal instinct that we have for love and anger, happiness, anxiety, you know, all those negative and positive feelings we have. That's more so of, from our animal instinct. So I think that's kind of what they're getting at when it comes to the whole claw thing. Not really 100% sure, but that's where my mind is. But below this, the roof breaking down, we have the heart, and this here means to walk slowly. To walk slowly. We walk slowly with our hearts. That's how we fall in love with things. We have to take our time with things. And the age-old saying, if you love something, you have to learn how to let it go. I think that's also pointing towards this. Sometimes you have to walk slowly away from things you love. At the same time, you have to walk slowly towards things that you do love. If you go too fast, you're probably going to love it too hard. It's going to run away. You know, go too slow, you're probably not going to love it enough, or whoever or whatever it is you're trying to love is going to slip through your fingers like sand, you know? And that's how I think about this. And this right side here, all they really added here was this yo, meaning friend, literally just meaning friend. But breaking it down, this part here, literally same thing, is yo, but means like additional. This always has something to do with adding. Can mean like and as well. And this part here, just 2 slashes. Not really sure how to break this down, just 2 slashes. Just 2 slashes. And lastly, let's talk about money. Where the money at, right? Where the money at? Here it is. So, 钱. This part here on the left. One of my favorite things to look at in Chinese. This literally means gold or metals of any kind. And we have 2 spears over top one another. 2 spears. Kind of mess up the stroke order, but that's how you write it. And this is the simplified set. They stuck with, let's get 2 slashes. Yeah, it does. I always forget that. So weird. I always do that. But yeah, let's get 2 slashes right there. Okay, so both of these characters being money, Dien. Like I pointed out separately, both of these are just spears, but together, this means, it says small, narrow, tiny, or little. This is interesting, but it's 2 spears over top of each other, and it directly translates to small, or narrow, or tiny, or little. And this here, translating to gold or metal of any kind. Usually that's how we create our money anyway, from metal, from coins. That's how we mint our coins, from something metal. You know, we're not walking around just picking leaves off of the ground and saying this money. We want something that's more tangible, something that's more hard, you know, something that's harder. And on the left here, this is the simplified version of this Dien. Is it Dien or Jin? Meaning, you know, metal. And on this left side here, same thing, just small, narrow, tiny, or little. So both of these things are equal to each other. Same thing. Both of these things are yang. Same thing. Yang. And so I just want to keep this one short and sweet. This is a sort of intro to what I want to talk about when it comes to Chinese characters. Next time I'll pick 5 of my personal favorite Chinese characters and talk about those. I'll tell you just sort of sneak peek. One of my number 1 favorites to write is Xi. Xi, like Xi Huan, the Xi. Alrighty, so yeah, that's it. Next time we're going to talk about my 5 personal favorite. Definitely leave a comment below if this was interesting for you. Let me know some characters that you would like me to break down. Let me know if you've broken down characters before and if you have any of your own insight. I love to learn. I want to spread this knowledge. I want people to spread knowledge to me as well. I think that's one of the easiest ways to spread love in the world, is to show some knowledge and share it. Alrighty, this is Chinese with Malcolm, and I'll see you next time.